Happy the day after Christmas, everyone. I hope you all had a splendid Christmas. I had a good one. Anyways, welcome to part 3 of the product rendering tutorial series. And this is where we left in the previous part. We finished the modeling, and in this part, we're going to be doing the materials and we'll be finishing up on the finer, smaller details. So, without further ado, let's go into the shading panel. Alright, switch to look dev mode if you haven't already, and let me enable this. Alright, cool. So the look dev mode uses the EV render engine to give you a quick preview of your materials. It's not accurate, but it works good. You can hide these balls if you don't want. You can hide them over here, and you just have to select the HDRI preview and that goes away. I like to keep it disabled. Okay, so now I'm going to select the body and let's give this a glass material like over here. You know, it's glass, so we're going to give this a glass material. So I'm going to add new material. I'm going to call this glass material. Glass mat sounds good. Now the traditional way of creating a glass material is by having a glass BSDF shader and plugging this into the surface, and this works. This is the best way, but the problem is that this costs a lot in render time and we don't want that. So we're going to be using the principal BSDF class, which looks exactly the same but does not cost in render time. It's very simple to make. Bring up the transmission to 1, bring down the roughness to 0, and make sure that your color is white. Color is white. Now you have glass. You can preview this in cycles. Before you preview, make sure you have an HDRI. If you don't know how to put an HDRI, make sure you go to the world settings. In the color panel, select an environment texture and open an HDRI preview. I think I have one over here, JKKK. Alright, now I've added my HDRI, and if you go into render view mode, it should load and you should get that. There you go. You can now see that this is glass. This looks like glass in cycles. So now that we know what our material looks like, we can actually go back to look dev mode because it's faster and we can do it in that. I'm gonna apply the same material for the cap. I'm gonna apply the same glass matte material. There you go. Looks good. Coming to the reference images, you can see that this cap is glass still over here, but on this bump, it's kind of a translucent material. I don't know if that is glass. I don't think that is glass. I think that's plastic. I don't know. But anyways, it's more of a translucent material. So let's do that. How are we gonna do that? Well, I'm gonna follow one of the materials that I made in one of my plastic material tutorials. If you guys haven't seen it, cross 2k views, so you guys should go and see it. The link should be over there. Anyways, what you should do is have the same glass material. I'm gonna apply this two materials to the same object. We're gonna have to actually add a new material slot over here, and let's select, go into X-ray mode, and I'm gonna select all of these faces over here, and I'm gonna hit assign on those places. Now you can see that this area has this new material. Right now it doesn't have a material, so it's white in color. So let's add a new material. I'm gonna call this translucent, and now it's the same as glass. Alright, you make it white, bring up the transmission and bring down the roughness. Now you have glass. What you have to do different is that you now have to add two different shaders. Let's add in a translucent shader, make that white, and add in a mix shader. Where's that? Over here. And now I'm gonna mix this shader and this shader, and now I have a translucent material. And if you go into render view mode, you can see that. There you go. You can now see that this is more of a translucent material while we have glass on top. Yeah, and I would say that this is more of a close match, to be honest. Okay, now let's do the next material. And by the way, if you want to change the color of this translucent material, you can change the color by changing the base color over here. Do not change the translucent color, change the base color. Right, with that done, we can go and do the next material, which is this gold plastic thing. And that's actually very easy. Go into Google and type gold color hex codes, all right, and you'll find a lot of different shades of gold, and you'll find the hex codes for them. Take the hex code of your favorite shade of gold, and you should type it over here to get that color. This is my favorite shade of gold, which is EFC501, and there you go. This is one of my favorite shades of gold. And to get that material, to get this shiny material, we just have to bring down the roughness, and it's not metallic, it's more plastic. So there you go, now you have that material. And all right, but now we have to make this white label thing. And well, we are going to do the same thing that we did over here. We're going to assign a new material for this. And I can see that we did not actually give any loops for that, so I'm gonna add in one loop over here. And to make two loops symmetric to that loop, I'm gonna hit select that loop. With that loop selected, I'm gonna hit Control Shift R. Now I get two loops in two directions, and they're symmetric to each other. I'm gonna bring it to about here, and I'm gonna select this loop and dissolve that because we don't need that edge. This is unwanted geometry. And select this whole line of faces and assign a new material for it. Call it white label. I'm gonna make it white. Is it reflective? No, I don't think it's reflective. So I'm gonna bring, I think I can keep the roughness as 0.5, maybe 0.7. All right. Great. Oh, and now you can see that for some reason our material is shrinking in object view. Why is that? Well, that's because of the subsurf modifier. Well, you can see that right now we don't have the subsurf modifier enabled in edit mode. If you go and enable it in edit mode, you can see that it shrinks in edit mode too. And why is that? That is because the subsurf is trying to average out the geometry, but as a result of it averaging out the geometry, it's kind of distorting the material, which is also part of the object's geometry. So how do you correct that? Well, you need to tell the subdivision surface modifier that this is a sharp place. I mean, not a sharp edge, but this is a sharp limit for the material. And you can do that by doing something known as a crease. All right, what is a crease? Well, I have a link to another video that by me in which I explain creases and how to solve this subdivision surface distorting your materials problems. The link is up over there. You can go watch that if after this video maybe. So I'm going to select this loop and this loop and make it sharp by adding a crease. So with those selected, I'm going to hit Shift E and pull out to make a crease. And when I pull out, you can see that the material kind of gets stuck to that. That's because we have now told the subdivision surface that that is not a place where you have to mess up stuff. And now you can see that our material is not getting distorted. Great. So we have finished the outside part. But all that's left for us is the liquid, the actual liquid. And yeah, if you wanna, you can do some insane fluid simulation and blow up your computer, but I'm not gonna do that. What I'm gonna do is simply oh, okay, you guys might not have these loops. I was kind of actually practicing on this. I kind of forgot to remove them. So I'm gonna add in this liquid over here, and I'm gonna add it like it's full, right? So the liquid comes till here, but just to give the liquid some geometry, I'm gonna add some 3 loops to the bottle. Why am I adding it to the bottle? Well, that's because I'm gonna enter face select mode, and in X-ray mode, I'm gonna select this entire face thing up to here. I'm gonna hit Shift D on that, and with that selected, I'm gonna hit P on my keyboard and separate that selection by selection. And now I have this whole separate object. So, we know that liquid takes the shape of whatever object is holding it, right? If it's in a round bottle, if it's in a round flask, then the liquid is going to be in the shape of that round flask. If it's in a beaker, it's going to take the shape of the beaker. So why do you have to bother doing fluid simulation when all you have to do is duplicate the same bottle? Now we need the bevel modifier, but we do not need the solidify modifier. So there you go. Now you can see that our liquid is kind of over there, and it looks good. The only problem we have to deal with is if you go into local view, you can see that our liquid is kind of empty on the top. It's kind of hollow on the top, and we have to actually solve that. How do you solve that? Well, we have to connect all of these and make quads out of it. So I'm going to join this and this vertex. I'm going to join them by hitting F on my keyboard. And since we have 3 loops over here, what do I do? Alright, I'm going to hit, I'm just going to make sure. Alright, I'm going to hit subdivide on them and subdivide them 3 times like that. Now that I have that, I'm going to select 4 vertices like this. Make sure you're selecting 4 vertices. It's easy to select vertices from the bottom and mess up stuff. Make sure you're careful and hit F. There you go. I've made a quad over there. So this is a little annoying to do, but you have to kind of select the whole thing by hand, and there's just no easy way to do this, man. I'm sorry. By the way, my mouse stopped working. I was supposed to record yesterday, but my mouse for some reason stopped working. I have a pen tablet, but I am not used to using Blender in the pen tablet. I draw in the tablet. I don't use it for Blender. So, I got a new mouse now. So, yeah, now you have that liquid and you have a nice bevel going over there. I like it. Looks good. Let's just check the normals once. All right, everything is facing the right directions. Cool. You can save this, and let's apply a material for this. I'm gonna delete the glass material which it should be with. So the thing with liquid is, if you take this perfume in your hand, it won't be like gold or yellow in color like this. It would actually be somewhat transparent to look at if you take a little of it in your hand, and that's because the color is very very subtle in it. But the more quantity of liquid you have, I mean the more denser the liquid gets, you get more and more color. So we have to replicate that in Blender. I mean, obviously, of course, you can add in a new material like this and make it, where's that? You can add a new material like this. You can make it kind of yellow in color like that, add a transmission to that, and you can call this liquid. It works, but there's no, the realism is lost over here because now you don't have the density over there. So in order to do that, we're going to be doing something known as volumetrics. We're going to be using volumetrics for that. We're going to add the density. We're going to replicate the density by giving volume to this. So let's keep the principal BSDF just like this. Make sure it's white, have the transmission at 1, and keep the roughness at 0. Keep that. And we're going to add in another shader, which is the volume absorption. Volume scatter, absorption, they both work. I just like the result that volume absorption gives better. And I'm going to connect this into the volume. And in Eevee, you should not be able to see anything because it's white. Even if you change the color, you can see that something is happening there, but it's just not accurate. I mean, you don't know what's happening there. So it's better to shift to cycles. And there you go. In cycles, you can see that we have some little coloring over there. And if you want to make the liquid more denser, give it more color, you just have to play with the density. I mean, as you go higher and higher, it gets darker and darker. I think 15 is what I used. No, I think the color is wrong. Let me try the same gold color. Yeah, it's too dense. 7 maybe. 5. Yeah, I think 5 looks good. So yeah, I think that looks good. Looks pretty good to me. And now let's go into this, and something looks weird over here. And I think I know what looks weird over here. It's because if you go into object mode, and you can see that we have our body over here, and let's select this. You can see that they're both kind of in the same place, because we duplicated it. Obviously they're going to be in the same place, and because of them, kind of intersecting like that, it's giving that weird result. So we're actually not going to scale it down, because that would result in us creating some gap over here, and cycles will be, if we create a little gap over here, light is going to come in like this, it's going to get reflected like this, then refracted like this, and then refracted like this, and the same thing is going to happen on this side, and it's going to, because of that, there's going to be some weird results. So instead of scaling it down, we're going to have to make sure that we don't give any gap over there. So instead of scaling it down, I'm going to scale it up, and there's a limitation in cycles. You have to kind of place your liquid in between the two corners of the glass in order to make sure that cycles renders it perfectly. So I'm going to scale it up like this ever so slightly, not too much. Just what happened there? All right, not too much, just a little like that, to kind of place it inside that glass. I think that much should do. I think that's a lot, but should do, it should be enough. And I'm just gonna go into edge select mode and select all of these edges, and kind of bring them up a little, because I think the on the z-axis it went in too much. And now if you go into rendered view mode, it should be fine. There you go, you don't have any of that problem right now. It looks great, it looks pretty good to me, but the only problem we have is that our liquid looks like it's some kind of a tar solution. It's some kind of a black ink, and that's because we don't have enough light paths going into the thing. I mean, by default Blender's thing should be 12. If you have 12, then you wouldn't be having this problem, but I keep my maximum bounces as 4. The upside of having more bounces is that you get more light in your scene, but it costs in render time. So in order to save up on render time, I usually keep it on low amounts. I sometimes go for 1 bounce or 2 bounces, and you can always adjust it over here. But since this is, I'm not going to go into that in this tutorial. I won't be able to do that. I'm going to go into 12, and now you can see that this looks perfect now. Okay, and now we have to add material to that tube inside. Yeah, for this I'm just gonna give it the same translucent material that oh, this, why is this, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm gonna give this the same translucent material that we gave for that neck over there. There you go, congratulations, we have finished materials. For some reason my computer is being a little slow today, I don't know why. Okay, now that we've finished our materials, the next thing, the last things that we have to do for this part and the model to finish off the model is the finer details. And by finer details I mean the smaller details, like this label and this logo over here and the nozzles whole thing. So I'm gonna switch to EV for this over here and go into layout for this. I'm going to select the bottle, hit Shift S, bring my cursor to there, and in the reference images that you downloaded, you should have something, you should have the labels and the logo over there. So hit Shift A and import images as planes. If you don't have this enabled, go into edit, preferences, and in the add-ons section, if you put images as planes, you'll have import images as planes. Make sure you have that enabled, else you won't be able to have this option. So import images as planes, and find that, and you should have something called the label, which is literally what it is. It should come like that, rotate it 90 degrees along the x-axis. I'm going to go into side view and bring that to the front like this, and in front view I'm going to enable the empty and go into edit x-ray mode and kind of place this kind of where the label is supposed to be. Don't worry about that little deviation. Our model is a little to this side, so don't worry about that. We have the label. As long as we have the label at the center of our bottle, you don't have to worry. Okay, now then what we have to do next is make sure that the label is stuck onto the body, and for that I'm going to use a modifier which is known as shrink wrap modifier. If you wanna, you can just kind of subdivide this once if you wanna. It's not necessary because we have a flat surface over there, but yeah, you can subdivide this a couple times if you wanna. I'm going to go into the modifiers tab and add in a shrink wrap modifier. It should be under the deform list. So in this modifier I'm going to select the target eyedropper and select this cube. Speaking of which, I think this is a good time to rename all of our objects. I'm going to call this body, cap, neck. This should be label, and this is the liquid, straw, and there you go, nozzle. Oh, we didn't apply material for the nozzle, did we? Let's do that. Okay, now you should see that the label kind of sticks onto the body of this thing, but the problem is that when you go into look type mode, you can see that now the label is kind of inside the object, and that is because of our solidify modifier. We have a solidify modifier and the object is actually inside it, so it's kind of going in. So we can bring it a little outside by changing the offset. I think I'm gonna go for 0.002, very slightly. We're gonna bring that out, and you can see that there's no gap over there, but it's kind of outside. Alright, the next thing we're gonna do is bring our cursor over here and let's add in that logo over there. So import image as planes, and this time the label should be called Chanel's baby shower 614439 png. Import that as a plane, rotate it 90 degrees along the x-axis, scale it down. You can bring your empty if you wanna, and I'm gonna go into solid view so that I can see this. So it's kind of in the middle already, so I'm not gonna bother about that. Scale that up like that and bring that to the front. Now for this one, however, you really need to add a lot of geometry on this because this is gonna be shrink wrapped onto a curved surface, and if you want that curvature to be smooth, you need geometry, because right now if you do, it's gonna look bad because there's not enough geometry for that to be stuck onto the surface of that. So let's subdivide this. I'm gonna subdivide this like 3 times should be good. 4 times is too much. 3 times is good. So I'm gonna add an shrink wrap modifier, do the same thing, and again it's going in again. Okay, so we're gonna change the by the way, I'm gonna change the wrap method to tangent normal project. So these are different algorithms which are used to kind of stick your object onto the surface. Nearest surface point will stick them to on the surface. Project is, it kind of projects it on the surface. Nearest surface point would it kind of looks at faces. Project looks at the object in general. Nearest vertex looks at the vertex points, and tangent normal project is, it looks at the direction which the object is facing. For a curved object like this, where this is facing this way, this is facing this way, I think tangent normal project works the best. And I'm going to change the offset like that, should be too much outside, so I'm gonna change that 0.0002. Let's take a look at that. All right, there you go, 0.0005. And make sure you shade smooth to avoid any shading issues. There you go. Go into edit mode and you should, look tab mode, and you should be able to see that. Now one last thing that we need to do is the nozzles hole over here. That's pretty easy. We're not actually going to be modeling that. We're actually going to be cheating by just, it's too tiny a detail and nobody even cares about that, so it's okay if we're gonna make like a circle and put it on, shrink wrap it onto that. So and that's what we're gonna do. Add in a circle, and 32 vertices is fine. Why 32? Because else you wouldn't have that smooth circle, and it would look bad, and I don't want to add a subsurf modifier for this. We can hide the empty, we just want to look at that. So I'm gonna bring that up like that, somewhere over there. Looks good. Scale that down, and go to vertices and fill that up. I'm gonna make an inset on that like this to kind of give the illusion of that hole. Go to side view and let's bring that outside like this. Cool. And we're gonna add a shrink wrap modifier for that too. Oh, is it outside? Oh, it is out there. And go to that. Yeah, I think this looks good, but let's just add an outside like that. And you don't have to worry about the smooth shading it, because we actually need it to look like it's two holes, so you don't want to worry about that. Tangent normal project. I think it's a little outside. Yeah, that should do it, doesn't matter. Let's add materials for this, and we can finish this part. I'm gonna add two materials for this. I'm gonna add in first material. It's gonna be black outer. I'm just gonna make this black like this, and I'm gonna add a new material for this and call it gray inner. Actually, I think it's more of gray outer and black inner. Actually, it's entirely gray, so I'm gonna change this gray out and gray in. Make this kind of like a like a 0.8. Oh, that's bright. Sorry, 0.235 should do. And for this one, I'm gonna add in like assign this, and this is gonna be like a 0.5 or 0.6. There you go. That should be enough. Cool. I'm gonna select this nozzle and give it a material, because we did not give it a material, and it's gonna be the same gold plastic material that we gave to that neck over there. Cool, that looks good. Let's go into layout and let's set up a camera like this. I'm going to go into the front view, Control Alt 0 to bring your camera to the any point that you are looking at. If I'm like over here and I like this view, I hit Control Alt 0 and the camera sets to that location. So I'm going to hit Control Alt 0 and maybe bring it to the middle like that. Cool. There you go. Control B to render this area selectively. Oh, one tiny detail that we did not do is this logo over here. It's more gold than black. It's not black, it's gold. So we're gonna do that. Go into the shading tab and let's select that. we're gonna change the color of that. All right, right now it's black. We're just gonna add in a color, mix RGB node, and change the color of it to our gold. And I'm gonna bring the factor entirely up so that it changes to that color. Similarly, this one, it's a little, it's not, I don't know, is it reflective? It's not. I don't think it's reflective. Anyways, I'm just gonna give it like a 0.4 roughness so that it's a little shiny. So let's go into layout now, and now we have a perfect looking Chanel perfume bottle. Let's go into the camera mode and enter rendered view. And there you go. We have successfully finished our model. We finished the materials, we finished the modeling, it's done. We finished it. So in the next part, we'll be going through some basics of product rendering, and why 3D product rendering is better than actual product photography. And after that, we'll be making a professional looking product render for this bad boy over here. And that video should be out tomorrow. So make sure you're subscribed so do not miss it. And please give this video a thumbs up if you like this, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And guys, as a favor to me, if you could please share this video with someone who you think would like this, because I really put a lot of work into these videos and I would love it if more people could see it. Anyways, meet me in the next video. I will see you in the next one. Bye.